Okay, back again. Let me get my gasket scraper. So I'm scraping off these gaskets here, and they're pretty well crystallized, which means they're very, very hard. But don't scrape or hit you on your fingers. You know, look across right here. This stuff just falls apart. This is an extremely old cover. This cover, I think, is from the early 60s, be my guess. Going by the parts that are on it, how it's made. Definitely earlier than what the tranny was. Alright. Okay, all this looks good. Okay, so now this is pretty well ready to go back together. You always want to make sure the indents are where they belong. Or the indexing, I should say. Try to figure out where the mark is on the other gear. So far I see no markings. Now there it is. It's a little hard to see, but there's a line. Right down in here there's a line on that gear. Between the two gears is a marking. So between this gear and this gear. And obviously there's an indent on this one right here on this gear. So that's this one. So you just make sure that they come together and they line up together. And they do. Never hurts to double check. You'd be surprised how many times you see this stuff wrong. Okay, so this one looks pretty good now. Trash out of the way. Some of my workbench got dirty again. That happens when you work. Let's see, I didn't clean this off yet, so I think most of it was off of this one already. Okay. Scraping done. Put tool away when you're done. Okay, so now get this all gooped up. So here's our new shifter cover, and here's our gasket set. So we're not going to use this lever. It's got some kind of a jockey shift. I'm going to put on this thing. But we need the FX cover, not the FL cover. The reason you want the FX cover is because you want to have a flat cover. The FL has an indent because of the way the shifter is made. So we purchased the FX version. See, this one's dead flat. So when you stick it all on here like that, it sits flat. And when you put your universal shift lever on it, which is not going to be this one, he has a different one. But when this goes on here, it'll sit flat. If you had the FL one, there's a, like I said, there's an arm that sticks in it. It's got an indent around it, and that gets in the way of these jockey levers a little bit. So anyway, now if you had an FX transmission, this hole would be up here. It'd have another hole right here because it has 4 bolts that hold it. See, it's got 4 holes right here. So FLs only have 3 holes. It's another way you tell them apart. So other than that, the part's the same. This part in here changes, reverses it though. FX has a mid control which reverses the action, so they reverse the drum. So this is a mirror image cut of the FX. So if you run this FL on FX, reverse the shift pattern. If you put an FX drum on an FL, it reverses its shift pattern. So if you look at my drag bike, my painted drag bike, it has an FX drum in it because it's reverse shift pattern. So that means I slam down on it to upshift. That's what you do for racing. That way you can power shift it, not miss gears. Get a lot more force. Alright, so we're not going to use this, and it looks like they gave us some brand new screws right here. We are going to use those. I am not going to Loctite them on there like they did though. Loctite's good, but when it's too aggressive, it makes it really hard to work on your bike. Try to cut my finger there. Don't rub your finger across here when you got it sharpened it, basically. It'll cut your finger. Usually my knife's so dull it doesn't do anything. Because I do everything with my knife you're not supposed to do. Scrape carbon, cut boxes, scrape aluminum out of the way, you know, stuff like that. Okay, we only need 3. The other one I'm going to leave in there. They'll figure that out when they need it. Okay, so that'll go on later. Okay, next thing we got to do, we'll check this bushing, make sure it's good. They rarely wear out. So it feels good. So we're not changing it. Same with the one inside here. I think I've only replaced 2 of those in my life that actually need to be replaced. They just don't wear. Okay, so still need our gaskets. I like James gaskets, not Chromatic or other brands. The reason I like James gaskets is not because they're the cheapest, because they're not. It's because they're made out of good paper. They got good seals. And their gaskets are cut the correct sizes, which means they fit tight around parts. The bolt holes are the correct size. So that means you're not going to have a 5/16 bolt and have a 3/8 hole in your gasket, like a lot of these other vendors tend to do. So like these ones here, these have 5/16 holes in them. At least close to a 5/16. 5/16 stud. Fits fairly tight on the hole. See, it's not a real loose fit. Chromatic will have a 3/8 hole in there, so it just flops all over the place. So the gasket can slide over and leak. It can be real thin through here, so it'll leak through here. So you want as much gasket as you can. Chromatic makes really good head gaskets though, MLS, but the rest of their gaskets, they don't cut them correctly. Materials are good. Workmanship, not so good. A lot of the other brands are just made out of crappy good materials. So anyway, some of them have good materials, some don't. Okay, so we need the part we need for this job. Ooh, look at that. We gave us the lock we needed. That's what we need for a ratchet. Good. Look at that. Saving money already. Look at that. It comes with it. I have no idea why they give you that lock. That's good they did. Looks like they gave us some more locks. They've been adding stuff to their gasket kits. Look at that, I got a key in here and locks. Amazing. Good stuff. Let's see, where is my other gaskets at? There's the one I'm looking for. And they also give me the really good case seal too. Not that cheap single-sided one a lot of these other sets give you. Okay, so this one we need right there. This is overflow. We don't need this stuff. Okay, so this is the one that goes on here. You gotta make sure you line up the notch. You don't have to. The bolt pattern will work, but it looks a lot better when you line the gasket up with a notch, because then it fits. So we'll be doing that. So I like using my gasket cinch. Everybody asks me what I use. That's what I use. Line this stuff on there. It's real thin. You let it get tacky, and then you put it on. So you gotta find something hanging on it for a minute. I found something. You're supposed to goop up all four surfaces. That's each side of the part in the gasket. And you can let it set up and dry up a little bit. It sticks to itself even when it's dry. So I can goop it up now and assemble it later. It's not a big mess. Even if I touch it, it doesn't really get that messy. And a bunch of goo. Okay, so we're going to use a bunch of grease to assemble it. This is good grease. And the reason I use grease instead of oil is because grease will hold the parts in. It'll be here in another 20 years. This grease will still be in here, doing its job. There was no grease in this one when I pulled it apart. So either they never put it in there, or it disappeared. Pretty much the only lubricant you get in here is right now. So don't be afraid to put some in here. Wipe off your finger. You don't transfer grease all over everything you're working on. Okay, so this here has to go in there. There's a little stop area here, solid area here. I like putting it in the back side and compress with your thumb and put it on top of the little tabs over here. These springs are nice and stiff. So now you take a little screwdriver, flat blade, and you make sure it's in there all the way by pushing on it. So you just take your screwdriver, slide it in there, drop it down all the way, and it'll stay put. It won't chase after you. If you do it wrong, it might chase after you. That would be a bad thing if you don't want to get hit by a spring. These nice new springs are pretty stiff, so they will definitely hurt you slightly. You'll feel them. Okay, so that's like that. Now that gives you a little bit of room to put the dog inside of here, but it'll still be kind of tight, but it's working in there, but it'll go in. Okay, now this side of the spring is dry. It's going to rub on this side right through here. So it needs lubricant too. So you put some grease on that also. So don't be afraid to put some on there. Okay. Now to get this thing lubed up. See, I also need to check the shifting on this, which is hard to do because somebody put grease all over it. Damn, who did that? So we got to goop up this here. These are easy to do. You go like that. You go like that. Get all that grease. Roll around there a little bit. Stuff the plunger in there. plenty of grease. Yeah. Didn't go to waste. Okay, it goes in there like that. Then we tighten it up. Appears to be tight. I can put our tabs down. So I take my hammer, lock that way. That one goes that way. So this one goes up. This one goes down. There you go. You could use a punch, but it takes all the fun out of it. Alright, so now I got to check my indent. So you should put it in third gear. That's what you're supposed to do. Right now we are in second gear. There's third gear. I gotta go over here. There's an indent that I get buried in here with grease. That was a bad move. So I gotta be able to get in here and see. So I'm gonna wipe off what we can. I'm gonna have to blow up some air so I can see in there. Alright. So, you have a little indent right in there. And that has to line up with the two upright grooves there. You want it perfectly lined up, and that's timed. To change it, you gotta loosen that screw up right there, readjust it, tighten it back down. That's how you adjust it. That adjusts your shift pattern. Okay, this one here looks pretty good to me. Trip on my foot there. So it looks like that one's lined up pretty good with the upright. So I'm going to call that good. But I'm going to check to make sure that screw's tight. One thing you learn about doing this stuff is never trust anything you think it is. Appears to be tight. So these in doubt, check it. Now see how that spring's trying to come up and get me? All that beating I was doing earlier is trying to come up there and get my butt. So, just push it back down is all I did. Fine. Okay, now I gotta lube up these here. Put these in there. Some grease in there. So don't be afraid to load them up. While we're at it, I'm gonna put a little bit on that bushing right there. We did these two springs, we do just like we did before. Move them up. This has a groove in it that has to engage correctly. Otherwise it Just the gooey part. Okay, there's a roll pin that sticks through the bottom over here that these engage in. So you have to rotate them around. There it goes. Uh-oh. Squirting juices at me. Yeah, there's another one. Hear it? It's all full of grease. Look at all that stuff came out of everywhere. And we'll just put it to use. Makes it nice and gooey. Okay, so those have to go in that direction. Now you got to compress these, put them over that part, and shove it all in there. Easier said than done. Not sure how much this you're really going to see. I'll try to get you a closer up view of it. So anyway, you might have to use the screwdrivers to help you. So first thing you do, you gotta squeeze them in. Stick them in here. Get your finger out of the damn way. Wind up inside the spring in here. Get it to go in all the way. We're not quite in all the way yet, but we're getting there. Okay, what's the hold up? So if you take your little screwdriver in here, you can see if the plungers engage all the way. Okay, that one goes in. That one goes in. Okay, so it should go down. Just got to push on it. Those new springs have a lot of tension on them, so it makes it a little bit harder to do. That's the easiest way of doing it I've got. You can put zip tie in there and a piece of wire and work around that, but then all that stuff's in the way and there's not really room for it in there. If you got weak ass springs, it might be okay, but when you got good springs, there really isn't room to do it. So if you do it like I did that way, it works pretty good. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our gasket on here, which is hanging around someplace. There it is, hanging around. So as soon as this touches, it sticks. So try not to put it in the wrong spot. If it's a little bit tacky still, you can move it around, but when it's already dried up, it's pretty much wherever it stops, it stays. Okay, you got the gasket in the right spot. You're going to pull a grease right here because that's a wear area. Wears inside the aluminum right there. It takes a long time before any oil gets up in this area, if ever. Okay, so it's in there. Line up your mark again. And this one goes in there where it belongs. Okay. Get our screws here. There's going to be 5 long screws and 1 short one. So the short one goes on the bottom where the nut is. That would be this one. So this is our bottom one. These are our top ones. Hands are all full of oil right now. And not oil, it's grease. You gave me this nice new rag for a reason. I'll wipe my hands with it. To get the grease off your hands, your tools stay ungreasy, not slimy. Easy to work with again. Okay, so put these in here, line them up, get them started. They're all in there, and this is our bottom one. It goes all the way through, and there's a nut on the back side. There's your nut. The reason you got a nut back there is because there's no room in here. The case is real tight, so and there's not enough room for threads on this. You just put a nut on it. It would strip out real easy if you didn't do that. Okay, where'd my Allen go to? There it is. Oh, I had it around here somewhere. Okay, just go ahead and run this down until it touches. Skip over to the other side. At the bottom, the other one here. And this is the badge cover on this side right there. Okay, take a quick look at it, make sure you're good. Everything's looking good so far. It got dirty again. Just go down until it touches lightly. Okay, make sure everything looks good. Take your lever and make sure it rotates a little bit. Where's that crappy one we had? So we're just going to lay this on here. Make sure it shifts. Yeah, it won't shift. Probably because we're all the way. Third, second. Oh, don't want to go in the low. Why will it not go in the low? It does not like low gear. It's a 3-speed. Something is wrong. First thing, we got grease on the damn thing. I'm trying to rotate it. So what is wrong? I guess there's something wrong with the plunger over here. Shouldn't be anything wrong with the plunger, but something's not working, obviously. First thing we have to do is undo the lock tab we just did. See, you should always check before you lock tab everything, see? I don't do my own instructions. Okay. It does not appear to be the problem. Just in case, I'll unscrew it just a little bit further. I think that is about a 0% chance of making it better. It's definitely not shifting into low. Alright, so what is wrong? Should not be bottomed out in the gears. Nope. They go a lot further around the circle than that. I can even see them on the other side too here, underneath. So, something else is wrong. My guess is the phasing of the shaft going through there might be half a turn off or a quarter turn off on the gear here. If that's the case, this thing never really shifted correctly. That'd be pretty rare to have that changed. Either way, we're going to get messy because I got to go back into this thing and figure out what the hell's wrong with it. It's definitely a hard stop. And it worked before, that's what's different. Yep, it's got to be in there.